This is the Andrew Walsh podcast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen. I really appreciate it. I'm praying you can take away something from this episode that brings value to your life. Make sure to subscribe to my podcast to stay up to date with the latest episodes, and please share with a friend if you feel you're getting something out of these episodes. You can also follow me on Instagram at @A_Walsh. Let's fire it off. All right, what's going on? It's the Andrew Walsh podcast. You know what it is, but we got somebody special today. He's smiling ear to ear if you're listening, but if you're watching this on YouTube, I got Justin Dhillon. All right, guys, he is a forward for the Seattle Sounders. I mean, this kid is a beast, and I personally knew him in college, and it's amazing to have him on the show. So, Justin, I want to introduce you, man. What's going on? How we doing?
Doing good, man. It's good to see you. Good to see everything's going well, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. I know you have a wonderful story, and I think you're going to give everyone who's listening a great insight as to your life and some of the things that you've overcome. For everyone who's listening right now, where are you joining us from today, Justin?
I'm over in Seattle. I had training this morning and got some stuff out of the way, and now I'm all free, all yours. So.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, man, how's your hand? Is it getting a little way down from that new championship ring?
Oh, gosh. Man, it is. You know what? I'll put it on. I brought it out here in case you did bring it up. But
yeah, you knew I was going to get it in.
Honestly, I don't really wear it out anywhere. So if I got a place to put it on, I'm going to put it on. There it is.
Man, that thing is fat. Look at that.
Yeah, dude. This thing is years worth of work from the entire team, and came in the other day, and we're all super pumped about it.
Man, can you just explain to everyone who's listening, because we get a lot of athletes and entrepreneurs on this, to be on a championship team, like can you just kind of dive into the leadership and what could you feel it was something special, or just share a little bit from what you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely some super defining moments in that season last year where I just felt like everything lined up as if it was like supposed to happen in the way it was meant to happen. And I mean, obviously the team itself has some of the best players in the league and playing for all sorts of national teams, playing in World Cups. We've got our head coach right now has the best record since 2009, so the past 11 years he's got the best record out of any coach in the league and stuff. So and then Seattle's fan support, I still never forget, even our final, this is what I mean when it was lined up, our final, the way it works in soccer is whatever you're seated in the league, however you finish is how you could determine who gets home field advantage. In the Super Bowl or something, there's already a preset location, but this is all based on you could have a home team if you could be the home team if you're the favorite that gets through, and we just happened to go all the way like that. And our final was in Seattle. We had 70-something thousand people in CenturyLink Stadium, and the whole city was behind us. Every building was lit up in blue and green, and it was a really special experience, man.
Dude, that is epic. And I know you've played in some games at Slow and stuff too. What's that energy like? 70,000 people screaming. I mean, CenturyLink is probably crazy.
Dude, it's so loud. I mean, I even bring it back to my debut with the team. My first game with the Sounders was in June. We were playing against Vancouver Whitecaps in CenturyLink Field, and we hadn't had a game a home game in, I want to say a month or something, or 5 weeks. So the fans were really anxious to get out there, and we had, I think it was 55,000 that game. And in Slow, I played in front of 18,000, 20,000. And I remember I was walking out, and they had this sick, I don't know if anyone has seen it, but you should look it up. It's called the boom boom clap, which is just the fans do a signature to Seattle. They stomp twice and clap, and they got drums that lead it. And the entire stadium just absolutely erupts when we're walking onto the field. Dude, you just get absolute chills all throughout your body. And I remember I went through all that. It was my first time playing for the team. The coach, like, I was starting too. Like, my first game was a start, and the coach comes up to me. He's like, "Are you nervous?" I was like, "Honestly, yeah. Like, this is nuts." And he's like, "Good, you should be."
Oh my God. I'm getting chills just thinking about that, man. Then
Oh,
you just run out onto the field and it's game on.
yeah, dude, game on. It definitely, like, the coach told me, he's like, connect your first pass. Like, try to like start simple, and the rest of the game will come to you. And that's kind of exactly what happens. You kind of forget about the rest of it after like a couple minutes of the whistle being blown. So
Yeah, you're in the game. Well, I want to ask you too. I mean, as an athlete or even in business, like in sales, like there's these
yeah,
pinnacle moments, right? Like winning a championship or closing a huge deal. And sometimes people will be like, "Man, there was so much leads, so much build up to this moment. I've accomplished it, like, okay, now it's the day after. What's next? Or do I savor this?" Can you explain, like, how did it feel? Like, yes, winning was great, but like the next day, was it what you thought it was going to be? And kind of take us into that moment.
yeah. I mean, dude, it's actually really interesting because, yeah, when we won and in that moment and that whole day and night, like everyone was celebrating, and you just felt like honestly on top of the world. Like the whole city was supporting you. Like you get such a high level of emotions, and then like some guys on our team, like they right after the game they flew to go play with their national team, so they didn't even celebrate. Like they literally hopped on a plane, and now it's time to go play for like the U.S. national team, or one guy had to go play for Sweden or the Australian national team. So it's straight into business again.
Wow.
And I think that was really interesting because you just kind of realize like that you just do something that you've been working for so long. And then like even on the forefront of my mind was I definitely want to enjoy this moment. I had my family in town and close friends that were very supportive, but then it's also like, all right, like what is kind of the next step? I was super anxious to hear about like what my contract situation was going to be, because I wanted to like stay with this. I wanted to like figure out what my role was going to be in the next year. I just want, like, you experience that game and like it's like a drug, man. You just want more. You want to do that again and like repeat it, but you want to make an even bigger impact, a bigger statement. And I think that's at least how I felt after it. Like it was so good. It's like you want to repeat it or do it again.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I'm sure like you're a champion. You're like, I want to be a champion again. That's so crazy though to hear. Like some people, they didn't even get a chance really to celebrate, and it's just on to the next. Like I'm big on avoiding like burnout, and like you have to get those hits of dopamine and the serotonin
Yes.
comes from that victory. And if you don't take because this was something a weakness of mine originally when I got into real estate, I didn't take time to smell the roses. It was like, boom, we did this. Next, let's go. All right, this thing is done. Next, let's go. Right. And then
Yeah.
it's hard to kind of in that moment, like I know your family was there and stuff to like really embrace that moment. Can you maybe share like anything that you did, or did you like have to mentally tell yourself like, hey, Justin, like remember this moment?
I think I was honestly just blessed with the people around me that just absolutely soaked it in. Like when we were like lifting up the trophy on the field in front of all the fans, like I had like my family and my best friend there, and like they were just like, I remember like I went to go hug my mom and dad, and they started crying, and like that's something I've never seen like my parents like cry about like something like that, because they're so happy and proud. And like I have my brother there who's, I mean, he alone is like the closest person to me, and he went like celebrated with me and the team, and just having those people with me in that moment was, I think, enough for me to know how important it was to celebrate. And I don't want to take it wrong. Like I did celebrate. I enjoyed like that, winning that. And I celebrated for the next like 3 days, or like at least like felt good about it, and like hung out with guys on the team, and like we got together and stuff. But and then the noise did cancel, like, or start to slow down a bit. And that's when I kind of started focusing on what was next too. Cause I do agree, you do need to celebrate when you're in those moments. And I may never get to play in a championship or like be a part of a championship team again.
Yeah.
People go their whole careers without this, and they could have way better careers than I could have, but they never won a championship, or got to be a part of something like that. So it's definitely, you do have to take the time to have gratitude.
Oh, I think for me personally, just meditating too has brought me to more of a stance of like, hey, this moment is here now. It may not ever be here again. Like and you can appreciate the little things. And, one thing I was so excited when you and I were going to do this podcast, because I keep up with a lot of the old friends from Slow and on Instagram, but it's always great seeing you because to me personally, you're still doing your dream. Like I'm sure as a young kid, you played soccer, you wanted to play in college, you did. Now you're playing in the MLS and you're having all this success. But for a lot of people, they may not know your story of, when you were on the Galaxy and you had some injuries. And there were some scary moments when it was maybe, not going to continue or you weren't going to keep playing soccer. Can you kind of share from your perspective, Justin, what was going on? What kind of, because you've had a crazy run, man, and you've had
Yeah.
some setbacks too. Can you kind of share a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, I first and foremost just want to say I think the whole thing has just been a blessing, and there's definitely been luck and, anything else you can call it to even like stars aligning, because there's so many things that, like you said, like you go into like different areas and I mean, even your testimony, you were playing football and like a freak thing happens and you get injured and you didn't even know. I mean, you overcame so much just to be able to be lifting and be where you are right now,
Yeah.
And um, so I think like there's like so much fortune that goes into every person's story and every athlete's journey to like remain healthy and be able to do what they're doing for that period. But like you said, I'll go to like with out of college, yeah, I signed with the Galaxy, and my first year went really well there. And then in my second year, it was kind of like a unfortunate series of like nothing like super serious. Like I mean, there was a pretty bad concussion in there, but outside of that, there was like injury, and I really didn't get to play that many games. And the team released me, and this was like the team I grew up with, and they had all this faith in me, and like I didn't expect to be released by my own hometown club, And I started looking around and trying to find a new place, and there were definitely like a good amount of clubs that were like, we haven't seen you really play that much in a year, so we don't have much to go on. And I remember I went to go on a trial with a team in Tennessee, and this was like, I kind of like waited a long time because I was also trying to explore, it's a global game. I wanted to explore all over the world to try to find a new project. And I ended up on trial at a team in Tennessee, and I remember I did very well. Like, I think I led the team in goals, and I wasn't even signed to their team in preseason. And then but they told me from the start that they only had like enough money in the salary for one player. And one of their starting outside backs got injured, torn ACL, so he's done for the year. And they're like, all right, we need to sign a defender. So sorry, Justin, like we can't take you, And I was like, wow, like other preseasons are like done, they're heading into the season, and like I got no team, and I'm like, wow, like this is kind of crazy. Like this could be because like I'll touch back on that a bit later, but like I didn't really know what was going to happen, and my next thing I was going to do was just go on a plane, fly to England, and train with a team just to train with them. It wasn't a trial. There wasn't necessarily a contract waiting for me. I was hoping that if I did well enough, there would be. But on my way to the airport, I get a call from my agent saying that Seattle last minute asked me if I could just come in and run a trial with them. They kind of want like a striker that's had a bit of experience. And, there's like, I don't know, like the way I describe it, I think is just like, I didn't expect to like be going. So it's like the next day I pack up and go there and go straight to Seattle, trial for the team. They end up taking me, but the coaches, it was with the Sounders reserve team. So I wasn't with like the MLS team or anything. And the coaches of the reserve team told me when I signed, they said, like, we don't know if you're going to play that much this year. Like, we kind of just wanted somebody that's a bit older with some experience. Like, we have a really talented young group, and they do have a good young group of players. And they're like, if this is just how it's going to be, we could see you maybe getting 8 games or something. And like, they spelled it out for me. I'm like, all right, like, this is probably my last year playing because I'm not even going to play with this and everything like that. So I actually messaged you about this because I started studying for my real estate license. Do you
Yeah.
remember that when I asked you about that?
Oh, well, that's why it's like this journey. There's a lot more than what some people know.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if I'm taking a long time explaining it, but
Great.
yeah, so I started studying for real estate, and I didn't know how long I was going to even stay in Seattle. I was like, you know what, like, maybe I'll just give this a go. I'll try to enjoy playing soccer for a little bit longer, and then once I get my license, like, I might just hang them up, hang up the boots and start focusing on the next part of my life. And um, all of a sudden, like, our team we didn't start very good, and the coach had like been seeing me doing well in training. He was super honest and fair, and I think such a great mentor in my development. And like, it wasn't quite like they said I wasn't going to play, but they were way more honest and fair, and like, how do I say, like, very, very good mentors, like much better than I had originally thought. And I ended up getting my opportunity to play, started scoring almost every game with the reserve team. Like, I just started playing really well. And then come like June, the Sounders striker goes down injured, and they have no one to play on the weekend because their other striker is playing for the Peruvian national team. And the transfer window's closed, so they can't go out and like sign anyone that's not part of the club or anything. So, like I said, like, stars just aligned, and they're like, like, Justin's playing really well with the reserve team. We're gonna bring him up to play, and we just don't have anyone else. That's kind of what it came down to. Like, that's how opportunities are created sometimes. And they bring me on and sign me to like a 3 or 4 week contract, like one of those small ones. They're like, listen, like, we need you for this short period of time, and we don't know if we're going to need you after that. So here you go. Like, here's your shot. Enjoy it. And then, I don't know, like, after the 3 weeks, they felt that I had performed really well, and they brought me back for the rest of the year. We ended up winning a championship, and then re-signed me the following year. So it was pretty crazy. And I think one thing I kind of skipped over, and that was just when I had gotten to Seattle originally, like, I think I talked to you before the show about like for some reason, like, when you're in like this low part in your life, like, really, like, like, I think I'm going to retire. I just moved to a new city. I have no friends. I didn't get along with the teammates that much. I didn't know anyone in Seattle, and my girlfriend of 4 years had just broken up with me as soon as I signed my contract. So, like, I was like heartbroken, like, on my own. I had no friends. It was brutal, man. And I was living in a hotel room by myself.
Oh,
So
man.
yeah, it was just a really, really tough time, like a dark period. And I don't know, like, I think being in that dark period just made me forget about like everything else other than what makes me happy, and like being grateful that I get to wake up and like still have like a couple more chances to play soccer, the game I fell in love with. And I just went out every day having fun, and like the rest of the year happened the way I just told you. It was just, and I met, like, to this day, like, I think this guy is gonna be the best, like, one of the best friends of my entire life who was on that team. So
Dude,
helped me out a lot in that period.
this is amazing. And like, this is why I wanted to have you on today too, because, a lot of times we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And explain to us too, just like in that moment. I mean, I didn't even know all that, like, broken up in a hotel room by yourself, just in a new city.
Yeah.
What kept you going, like, mentally? Was there anything that maybe like tangible that you did that you're like, oh, this really helped, or things that you listened to, or what kept you going in that?
Yeah. Definitely. I think one of my definitely my one of my greatest things was just like some advice that my mom gave me, which was like every morning I would read I have a devotional that would kind of like try to set the tone for my day, like to create some positivity. And then my mom would get me into this rhythm where she'd call me in the morning and we'd talk about like what we were grateful for. I'd write it down, and um, I had so much I had so much contact with my family because they knew I was going through a really tough time. And I think that emotional and mental support was so huge for me. And like I said, like I would be watching church and trying just to find like, I think like the messages I was connecting with was just the gratitude and living in a godly and loving way. And like, doesn't matter what your circumstances are, but just try to like generate positivity on like the people around you, no matter what you're going through. And I think that's also something in sports where when you screw up, you know, like it's so competitive. You're getting put down, like people are screaming at you. Like it can be a pretty tough environment in that setting. And I think like one big, I guess, a lack of a better word, like a principle I wanted to do just while I was playing was, especially with like a lot of like these younger talented players on the reserve team, was I just wanted to be super positive and just even when people messed up or something, I wouldn't get into anyone. I would just try to like pick people up and be super positive. And I noticed that other good things were happening in my life in return, kind of out of nowhere, like good friendships, good relationships. I kind of fell in love with this city, you know, so that those were some big things that I think anyone can do in their day, you know, wake up, say what they're grateful for, or write it down and have those conversations. And it really does change the whole outlook for the rest of your day.
Yeah, no, I believe that, man. I think sometimes in our life, I look at it, we're in all these different levels, but sometimes we'll go to a very low level, and God wants us there on purpose because He knows, A, we can handle it. And if in that moment we think we can't, we're probably a little bit stronger than
Yeah.
we think, you know, but we can be in these really low bubbles, right? But the habits, the disciplines, the things you start learning about yourself, and who you want to be in those moments help you to rise up, and not only rise up but like kind of put your hand back down and help somebody else rise up, right? And just being a ray of positivity for your teammates, right? Like I'm a big one on you reap what you sow. If you're putting out positivity and energy, people may not like you, but for some reason they can't like get away from you. They're like, I feed into this, right? And I think,
Yeah.
you know, your story is amazing, man. And I know even in like business, you know, people have peaks and valleys. That's why I love athletes and business and like kind of the analogies, right? Because there's ups and downs. Like, you know, you're getting yelled at, you didn't have a good game, or maybe you didn't have a good quarter and your numbers were down. And I think in those moments, we'll rely on our faith. You know, some of us will, or some of us let
Oh
the
yeah.
negativity swarm over us, right? So I think that's awesome, man, that your family was there for you, the devotional was there for you, and what did you see like within you that has changed, you know, from that time to now?
You know, I think it's like exactly what you just said. The fact that, I don't know, like in that moment, I had no idea like that I could handle that, you know, but God did. And I had no idea I was going to get out of it or what was going to happen next. And, you know, you put a lot of faith, or I put a lot of faith in God and just like, you know what, maybe I'm just meant, this is all meant to happen. And, you know, it really was because that when I was on trial with that Memphis or that Tennessee team I told you about, um, I know looking back in my heart that I didn't actually like want to be there. I didn't feel like I was meant to be there, you know?
Mm.
And like some freak thing happens where somebody else gets injured. Like everyone's saying I'm probably like going to sign with the team and stuff. And it doesn't happen. I end up in Seattle and, you know, obviously like everything has gone pretty well here since. It's just, it was luck, it was timing, but it was also like, you know, it was a very tough year and everything, but I feel so much stronger afterwards, you know, like such a better person. I feel like anything that gets thrown, like after going through, like even which you went through with, you know, like I bet you feel like every time, or like no matter what's getting thrown at you, you can handle it after going through something so traumatic, you know? And I know yours was like not even comparable to mine. It was just like two completely separate, like things that happened to us, but you know, we turn out to be the people we were always meant to be. And I mean, we were talking about leading by positivity, and I think that's something that you do so well that I've honestly been inspired with and kind of looked up to. And I've tried to like, I've seen that, and like, it makes me at least want to emulate it to like, I want to be able to inspire people like that too. And I love supporting what you do. And I feel like we do a really good job of supporting each other, you know, and it's important to have people like that in everyone's life. That I just like don't understand when people like something about even somebody else, like what they're wearing. Like, why not just tell them, you know?
Yeah.
Tell people how you feel. Like, what's the worst it's going to have by hiding that positivity, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I
I
don't know.
think that no compliment ever will go wasted, ever. Nobody's ever said something nice. I mean, maybe somebody will be like a little rude, but nobody's ever rejected it, right? Like, I don't think any compliment can ever go unnoticed. And I think you tell a great story, Justin. You were growing your spiritual muscles, right? Like you
Oh, no doubt.
this adversity and you grew as a man, you grew in your faith, you became you changed up a little bit, and then all these things kind of happen, and then look who's thrown into the limelight, ready to be in front of 70,000 screaming fans. But you had to go through that valley, right, in order to be able to be as strong and to be as successful as you were when you got to that moment. Maybe
Yeah.
if you got it too soon, like maybe if you started in Memphis, like would you have been able to have handled? Maybe you needed that to grow your roots down and grow a little bit more, so you were able to fully handle everything when you came to Seattle. You know?
Dude, honestly, like 100%, I couldn't have said it any better. Like, the like we said before, I feel like the biggest opportunities in life could come when you are at your absolute lowest. And um, you know, it's just true. As a person, as a athlete, as a man of faith, every single thing about me, I think, even as like a person in my own family, like every single thing about me, I felt like grew exponentially in that 1 year. And it was started with being alone in a hotel room with no friends, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No.
And
I think sometimes that's
it's,
right. You got to get it all stripped away, and you're at your lowest low, or you're at one of those points in your life where you need other people, or you got to do something different, because you're like, whatever I'm doing or whatever's been happening, it ain't working. I need some new going on in my life.
yeah. You know what's crazy is like I don't think that exact thought even crossed my mind. It's like whatever I'm doing, it's not working. Like, you know, like it wasn't even anything like that. It was just like you got put in a position and just um, you just held by your faith and just tried to be like a better person. You know, just for not even for like any sort of selfish reason or anything. It was just like you just wanted to be. You know, like for some divine reason. I don't know, but
I agree. I love this, man. And I think for anybody who's listening to this, this is a relatable story, because I think, you're an athlete, and maybe somebody who's listening to this isn't an athlete, but we all go through these peaks and valleys, and it's these moments
yeah,
sometimes, and especially in a coronavirus and a pandemic, there's a lot of craziness going on. But these moments, like, and I love that you said, I'm big on like listening to words. You said, I've grown more in this year, right, than I have in like almost a lifetime, right? Because sometimes
yeah,
challenging moments like are the best for us to dig our roots down deep and really, become better people. Like, I love that quote that says, are you working harder on yourself or than your job, right? And it seemed like you were always working really hard at soccer, but in that little gap right there, you were working a lot more on Justin, like get
yeah.
people you, right? And then look at what happened because of that.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I was so focused on just myself being something, but I don't think I didn't even go to that year thinking that I was even going to ever play in CenturyLink Field. I was like, you know what, like, whatever. Like, I didn't think I was going to be part of a championship team. You know, I went in that year just, like you said, like working on Justin and just loving, being grateful for that I got a chance to wake up and do something I love one more time. And every day I woke up, I just found like some like I'll still manage to find happiness and out of a place of coming from something so low, and I don't know. I mean, you said it really well there, to be honest. It's really good.
No, you remind me, and it's my favorite verse, and it's kind of been my running theme for 2019 into 2020 is Ephesians 3:20, which is
Uh-huh.
now all glory to God, who is able through his mighty power and work within us to accomplish infinitely more than we might ever think or ask, right? Infinitely more. Like,
Oh
dude,
yeah.
you're 70,000 people holding a trophy, your family's there crying, like we have visions and dreams, right? But that's infinitely more, man. Like if that doesn't,
Infinitely.
you know,
Yeah, I would even like ask you, from everything that you went through, like after you were told you were forced into retirement as an athlete and you made your way into fitness and business and real estate, like when you're even playing football, did you even see like a path, or even when you're going through your rehab, did you even see any of what you're doing now as like even part of a plan remotely?
never, man.
Never, not one thing.
Not one thing. I would never even expect to be in real estate or to
Yeah.
be where I'm at because I look at like my life, like I've had three significant like turmoils, and the back was one. And that I honestly now even in my video, I thank God for that moment because at least I broke my back my junior year. So I still had junior to senior year to find out who Andrew Walsh was without football. Because as an athlete, we can be very tunnel vision, right? That's why a lot of athletes deal with mental depression, right? Because the minute the sport's gone, it's like, all right, dude, real world, what are you gonna do now? Like you've been so focused and working towards something for so long, and then in a second it's gone. It's like, well, what do I do now? Who am I without
Yeah.
this sport? So I think that it honestly was one of those moments where God will hit you to your knees because there's no other place to go, right? And then of course, me being crazy, I strayed away from God and then later had another to my knees moment. And it was after that third one where I was like, dude, he's sending you some signs. Pick up on him. Give your whole life to God. Commit everything to him. We're not going to do this wavery stuff where when I'm low, I'm connected with God. And then when I'm high, I forget about him. It's going to just be consistently honoring God, doing everything I can to be the best, servant of God I could be, right?
Absolutely. And I think you said that so well, because you touched on it just now, what you're talking about, which this pandemic, like we've talked about, like these low moments can kind of like, I feel like it shows weaknesses in ourselves, these low moments, but it's also how you choose to attack those weaknesses. But you said something about who was Andrew Walsh without the football?
Yeah.
And I kind of thought about that during this pandemic when I thought our season was canceled. And like this pandemic, you realized everything else outside, like I did, at least outside of soccer or work or whatever it was. You just cared about your family. You cared about, health, safety, how you can help others in this trying time, and like what so many struggles of what people are going through. And you find small blessings in life, that we tend to overlook every single day. And I don't know, I felt like that was the first time that I kind of like realized like what really mattered to me outside of soccer,
Yeah.
and it was really incredible, actually, like really eye-opening to find that in such a difficult year for everyone.
No, I think this has been a huge year for like self-development. And I mean, like
Yeah.
we even got on. That's why I started the podcast and a YouTube channel in the midst of the coronavirus when it hit. Cause I'm like, man, people are really struggling. There's craziness. What do I love doing? Spreading positivity. Let me keep putting it out there because if just one person and if it was just you and I was able to inspire you and impact you, and then you were able to inspire one of the teammates that you have who then inspire, dude, just by inspiring you, it could be millions of people. You don't have to have a huge following, need to have
Yep.
a million followers on Instagram. It takes one person that you change their life, you inspire them, you motivate them, that it can create a snowball, right? And that's when like you and I, we talk, let's take advantage of this time in coronavirus. Let's do some soul searching and put some positivity out there for this world, right?
Dude, yeah, that's my new motto right there, man. I like that. I like that, how you said that, and how you've been able to not only say it but put it into action is incredible, but I love that. Even changing one person's life with any sort of positivity could change millions. That's beautiful and so true.
It's true. I mean, I feel it like, and it's so funny. My wife will laugh at me. I'm pointing like she's over here. There will be times where we're like outside, like maybe we're at Trader Joe's or something, and I feel like in my bones, like I need to talk to this person, or I need to just give them a compliment, like, oh, hey, those are some sweet earrings or something, right? And
Yeah.
your wife, I could be like, dude, you flirting with them? But she knows my personality so much now that literally I just want to like brighten somebody's day, right? And I think that's a good challenge for anybody who's listening to this. If you feel like, oh man, look at that person who's over there picking up trash, like I should just go tell them thank you. Like do it. Go and
Yes.
be a blessing for someone else.
Definitely.
Will give you energy and make you feel better too from and it will help them, but you'd be amazed what it does to you on the inside.
Oh my gosh, dude. Honestly, I know exactly that feeling you're saying about when you feel like you just have to go say something to them. And I don't know if that's God's way of telling you that maybe they need to hear something, you
Yeah.
know? But, dude, I've definitely had that feeling, and it's definitely good to be cognitive about trying to put it into action. I think that's incredible. And if everyone did that, we'd have so much positivity surrounding us, and it'd be amazing.
Well, let's do it. You and me, man.
Oh, it starts here. You know I'm on board. Come on, you know I'm on board.
I know that you know that we know. And if you're listening today, I hope somebody listens to this here, what Justin was saying and what I was saying, and that they literally look for an opportunity today, tomorrow, this week to be a blessing for someone else. Whether it's a text, an audio message, or saying something nice to somebody you're around. I mean, you could be that person that spreads not coronavirus, but positive encouragement, you know?
Absolutely. And we're so blessed to even have, like, in these times especially, we have like social media. You see so much of what people are doing. It's so easy to just jump into a message and just say like you see somebody grinding and working hard and you'd be like, you know, like keep it up, like you're doing such a good job and you're inspiring me to be better in myself. You know, like it's incredible how
Yeah.
far that goes.
Yeah, man. I think that's a lot with you and I. I'm always just encouraging. And I think that it just goes really far. I mean, you can like it and then somebody's like, oh, cool. But if you take it one step further and go message them or call them and be like, dude, I see
Yeah.
what you're doing, man. I'm proud of you. Keep it going.
Yes. Honestly, dude. Honestly, I think that that's so true. And that is very true. I think about even our relationship right now, how always been so appreciative of all the hype you've given me and the support, you know, and everything you've done too is so incredible. It's so easy to just see everything that you do, and I'm like, wow, like this guy's incredible. I mean, you even did the Wim Hof breathing technique, and one of my teammates, like, I was going through like kind of like some anxiety and stuff, and he's like, dude, you should try this. Like, it makes me feel so good. And then I saw that you were doing it too. I was like, no way. Like, there's so much in common. You know, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's crazy, brother. Well, I'm thankful for you coming on today, Justin, and your time and just the person you are. I know for sure there will be at least one person besides me who takes value from this podcast episode. So I just want to make sure that people can get in touch with you or follow you on social media. Is that best, like Instagram or TikTok, or what's good for you?
I usually use Instagram, to be honest, but I tried TikTok in the beginning of quarantine. Maybe I got to get back into it.
I don't really message a lot on that platform. It's more Instagram is more like our generation's Facebook, where you can really.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's your Instagram handle?
It's just Justin_Dhillon. So DHILLON for the last name.
Perfect, man. Well,
Yeah.
I wanted to take a second and say thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. And for everyone who is listening, this was Justin Dhillon today, just dropping some serious value about coming through valleys and just seeing the infinite blessing. So thank you for all your support of the podcast. And thank you again, Justin, for coming on today.
Oh, dude. Thank you, man. It's great catching up. Always a good time chatting with you.
All right, brother. Well, you take it easy, man. Thanks again.
Yeah, no problem, man. You too.